Let me put this in a story. At the end of time, there stood a star, a man, and a cell. The man had a name, Len. Len was immortal, which he found annoying. He had been born long after you and me, in a time of inconceivable science. His story, however, isn't entirely interesting. In truth, it's quite dull. He'd been born to complete a single task, as was customary during his time. I believe it was waste management. It's not important, though. While Len's life may have been uninteresting, his fate certainly wasn't. At this point in time, human science was at its pinnacle. Man had made machinations of unimaginable magnitude, and they would all come to a head. For no reason in particular, Len was chosen to this fate, and after years of mutilation, amalgamation, and general disregard for the natural order, man had made his penultimate creation. Len was immortal, and to what woe? Eventually, Len found himself utterly alone in the universe. The ones around him turned to dust. The cities he lived in crumbled. The empires who ruled him fell. He didn't much care for this at first, though. Empires were always too controlling, cities were always too loud, and people were too hard to understand. And then suddenly, all of man was gone. To Len, it happened in a blink of an eye, and who knows, maybe it did. Regardless, Len was alone, completely and utterly alone. Well, not completely, actually. Let me tell you another story. At the end of time, there stood a star, a man, and a cell. Now, around the same time as Len, a single-celled organism was about to die. It did not know this, of course, it being a single-celled organism and all. And in truth, had it died then and there, nothing in the universe would have changed. The stars care not of the life and death of paramecium or man alike. But strangely, as the cell began to find equilibrium, a strange force took over. Suddenly, it did not die. It, of course, did not know this, it being a single-cell organism and all. The cell continued to live doing whatever cells do. Then one day, another being found this cell, a being who happened to be in the same predicament as it. The being found unimaginable companionship with the cell, as it had finally found something they would not outlive. The cell was the being's most prized treasure. It even gave the cell a name, Oswald. The cell did not know any of this, but maybe that was okay. I have one more story, if you will. At the end of time, there stood a star, a man, and a cell. Len realized he would need somewhere to stay, and at first, it wasn't too hard. Without humans, retail in the galaxy was basically free. He found a couple of nice planets with lovely suns to inhabit for a few billion years. But then, eventually, those lovely suns began to die. Quite violently too, I may add. Len found this annoying, so he decided to live around the red giants. They would last longer and hardly go out big. But they too died. He went from star to star, hoping to find one to last him, but none did. Like the people, like the city, like the empires, the stars themselves began to die. And after millennia upon millennia, there was only one star left, a white dwarf, and around it, like a man huddled over the embers over a dead fire in a dark and cold forest, Len and Oswald lived. The star had a name. I believe it was... It's quite hard to pronounce though, so instead, we'll just call him Job. Job was born oh so long ago, and like all stars, they knew the fate of the universe from the very moment they were conceived. Job also knew of their fate. For no reason in particular, they were to be the last star in the universe, the last light. That's just how it was. There was no rhyme or reason to any of it, no grand plan, just stars and minds. A great coincidence or a horrid mistake. Regardless, Job still shone. They shone with no pride or sorrow. their light dying every second. I woke up again in the same bed as before, for the millionth time. How dull. My feet touched the cold floor, and I breathed the cold air. The bright electric lights hum above me. I sigh. I walk to the washroom. I step into the shower. I touch the cold water. I wash with cold soap. I dry myself with a cold towel. I look in my reflection for a moment. My eyes are sunken, my hair gone, my skin ghastly. But in truth, I look better than yesterday. So there's that at least. I walk into the room. There's nothing particularly to describe. The walls are an off gray, the roof and floor the same color. There is a sole bed and desk at the center of the room, and past it, a window. Oswald sat on the desk in my room. I approached it and picked up the petri dish Oswald inhabited. The dish was cold, but I didn't mind. I like holding my friend. I brought Oswald to our usual spot, the window. Past it, we saw the last star. The white dwarf glowed dimly. I remember when I first arrived here, I thought that this was surely the place. I mean, if the star had lasted this long, then surely it was just like me and Oswald. Maybe, just maybe, I could live forever with light and warmth. But gradually, I realized this not to be the case. Gradually, the light became dimmer. Gradually, the warmth became colder. And then I knew that soon there would be no light in the universe. There would be no warmth. It would just be me in a single cell, alone at the edge of the universe. And then I thought, death is a strange thing, isn't it? It's the penultimate fate that meets all things, from cells to stars. I looked past the white light of the dying star. Past it was a pure black expanse. Past it, nothing was different. Nothing was strange, loud, weird, hot, cold, big or small. Past it, everything was the same. Equilibrium. Death is equilibrium. Death is to be the same as everything else in the universe. A perfect harmony. So then, why is anything alive? What is life? Like think about it. Before life began, there were two main sciences in the universe: physics and chemistry. The matter in which the universe existed was chemistry, and how that matter interacted with space-time is physics. So where does life fit into this plain mathematical universe? Biology, and life in general, in all intents and purposes, is not exactly representative of the universe. In truth, it really shouldn't exist. Systems that go against equilibrium eventually reach it regardless. From a cell dying in a dish to the last star in the universe burning out. Why? Why do we exist at all? I mean, really, if everything reaches equilibrium, why are there systems that avoid it in the first place? Why was anything and everything alive to begin with? I don't know. But maybe I'm wrong to believe that life and biology don't belong in the universe. Because in truth, despite the fact that I may never see light again after this, I'm still happy to have seen it at all. My continued existence may be a horrid curse, and yet I'm glad to have existed in the first place. To feel happiness, and sadness, and terror, and despair, and hatred, and all those things at once is infinitely better than to feel nothing at all. Maybe life is just a fluke, a futile voice calling against the void saying, I am something rather than nothing. And no matter what happens for the rest of everything, the fact at this point, in this time, at this very moment, I am a thing can never be changed, no matter what you do. Maybe that's life. And maybe equilibrium is the true nature of the universe. But just because it is, doesn't mean it should be. All I know is I'm happy looking at this star, and as the white light reaches my eyes, I can't help but think about how here, in this moment, I'm happy holding my friend. I'm happy that I looked better than yesterday, and I'm happy for my life, despite my soon horrid existence. I'm happy I can look at Oswald. I'm happy I can say that. I'm happy I can think that. And if that isn't worth existing, well,